the power. There's so many of us in the church that are sort of playing with the power cord, but are we really plugged into the power? And Richard and I have read this book, and I put it on Facebook yesterday. We generally both read several books a month, but what I do is I'll read one, and it'll lose my attention after a while. I'll put it down, pick up another one, and I'll eventually read them. But this book that we read yesterday, I sat down and just read it in one sitting, and it was called Practicing the Way. Let me make sure I got this right. It's by John Mark Comer. And he talks about different spiritual disciplines. And that is a word a lot of us don't like, isn't it? Disciplines. But there's power in the discipline. And the things that he really drove home were, one, spend time with Jesus. How do you spend time with Jesus? You focus on him, don't you? You take a spiritual discipline like prayer, fasting, worship, reading the word, and you make a date with Jesus. You spend time with Jesus. To be a Christian means we are followers of Christ. It doesn't mean saying a sinner's prayer and then going and doing what we want. It means we are followers of Christ. And as we spend time with Jesus, we start to become like Jesus. And that was his second thing. Become like Jesus. Spend time with Jesus and then make intentional efforts. And we're going to fail, but we're going to get back up. And we're going to fail, and we're going to get back up. But we need to become like Jesus. And it's not just like a sin thing. You know, we fail. We all fall short of the glory of God. But we get back up. But what about things like worry, anxiety, stress? Did Jesus worry? Was he asleep in the boat? He was asleep in the boat. He wasn't worrying. And here again, this is something that it takes practice. And you have to keep your focus on Jesus. What you focus on is what you're going to become like. If you focus on your past, you're going to live in your past. If you're going to focus on your problems, you're going to live in those problems. But if you focus on Jesus, you're going to become like Jesus. And it takes practice. And there's seasons where it's easier than others. And I've been in a season these past few months where there's so much on my mind that I'll wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. But instead of laying there in bed, I'll get up, I'll go turn on some worship music and lay in the lazy boy, and I'll focus on Jesus, and I will talk to him until I drift back off to sleep. Because my mind goes from what I'm worrying about to what he says. So you have to spend time with Jesus. You have to do it, become like him, and then do as he did. And the gist of this book, I wrote it down. The Lord, I really believe, gave me 2 sentences. The one, what you focus on, you become. But too many Christians want to do the works of Jesus without living the life of Jesus. So I have got to be careful of not getting into a works mentality lately. Because especially, you know, I really believe this next revival that we have is going to be a revival of holiness. And that doesn't come part of it is, yes, people lay hands on you, you get touched by the power of God, but you got to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. You got to put this into practicing. So I never want to belittle the grace of God. It's by grace we are saved. It's not by works. But the Bible also says, you know, wide is the gate that leads to destruction, and narrow is the gate that leads to life, and few find it. I really, really would encourage everybody to get this book. It's called Practicing the Way by John Mark Comer. Read this book. If you're a new Christian, it will teach you how to live. It will teach you to help, you know, the practices to become more like Jesus. There's 9, like I said, spiritual practices that they put into place. If you're a seasoned saint, it's a good reminder. Am I living the way it is pleasing to God? Where is my focus at lately? If we focus on, where's our time going? If you want to know what your priorities are in life, you look at your time and you look at your checkbook. What are you spending money on? And what are you spending your time doing? Are you spending your time with Jesus? You say he's your priority. How much time are you spending with Jesus versus spending on video games or Facebook or out with friends who are gossiping or just people that you might not even like who are putting you down constantly, but you want to be part of the in crowd? If you want to see where your life is going to be like in